Blood for the blood gods, calls for the throne of corn. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for some chaos training, and it's back in bicep day. Yes, I'm going to run with the chaos. I really liked using that term for it. I've used different terms, my orc mode, dad bod to daddy, power building. Let's just run with chaos. I feel like that really fits the theme of what fits the theme of the direction I'm going with all my online stuff, just my mindset, my mentality. And of course, we're doing power building. I'm going to do 5 big lifts that we're going to chase performance on. They're always going to be the first lift of the day. And then obviously everything else is going to be bodybuilding, 8+ reps. Most of it will be 10+. I only say the 8 because of incline. So I decided to mess with some chins today because I can get the longest range of motion. I can actually get my face to the bar on chins and even get my chin over the bar. I cannot do that with a pull-up, and I can't do it with a lat pull-down either, by the way, unless I underhand grip it. And people argue with me. They're like, oh, yes, you can. I'm like, no, I mean, I really can't. So this allows me to just get a longer range of motion, and it's fine. It works biceps, and all pull-ups work back. All pull-ups work back as long as you get the stretch at the bottom. So what I focused on today was just the longest ranges of motion. Most of them done from a dead hang. And for people who are like, why don't you lock your elbows? People don't understand that really is my elbow lock. Like I'm not kidding. I'm not playing. So you'll notice the dead hangs. I mean, some of them we just go to a hang. I mean, that is what it is. It's what I can do. And I failed that rep. So we failed rep 6. So that was the failure on the last set, which means the first 2 were 0 reps in reserve, right? Or no more than 1 because we got 5, and then we got 5 and then literally failed a 6. So same thing on these rows. I decided to do them underhand grip mainly because I get a really good stretch there, right? We get a really good stretch. And I do want to get a bit more bicep involvement on everything. And I rotate through these. This is not new. I rotate through row and pull-up variations, and I've done phases where I do everything underhand grip, but I used all 3 grips today. And I think that's the take-home we need to have with this. I wanted to do all 3 grips on at least one exercise. So an underhand, a pronated, and a hammer grip, which we did between the 4 different back movements, just like we have vertical and horizontal pulls. I need to work everything. I'm just going to keep focusing on getting thick. We're going to bodybuild the hell out of everything. So really my training is power building. We're going to focus on performance on about 5 lifts. There'll always be some pull-up variation, whether it's a chin or a pull-up, some overhead variation, and then obviously squat, bench, and deadlift. Now I'm doing box squats at the moment. Because I get a lot out of box squats, and they carry over. You're almost always stronger on a back squat than a box squat. So on these, again, I decided to take them really strict. I'm like, let's just ditch straps. Let's just be strict. Strict, full ranges of motion. So I'm focusing on the stretch at the bottom. Notice my scapula come apart. The stretch is critical. So notice even on some of them, I drop just a little bit to make sure I get that stretch. And we're keeping it pretty strict, trying to minimize torso movement. It's always going to be a little bit. It's almost impossible to go decently heavy on a row without some. But then that's why we have these. Then I decided to come in and do my seal rows. So seal rows do let you isolate all of that. So the same thing on these. I take these, I go into a stretch, I make sure my scapula is spread, and then I come up as far as I can go. Now, I had someone say, well, man, you're hitting the bench. I'm actually not hitting the bench. I'm using a cambered bar. So just an FYI, no, that bar is not actually touching the bench. So it is my scapula limiting me at the top. And for anyone who's like, well, maybe it's too heavy. No, dude, I did 12 reps on the first set. So it's not too heavy, because if it was too heavy, I would have been able to go much higher on the first rep. So I'm just squeezing as hard as I can on the way up, trying to focus on the longest range of motion I can get. So we stretch a little bit at the bottom and then bring it up. And I got I got 12 or something, or 11, or I think I got 12 on all of them. I lost count. It started getting difficult because I took them to pretty much failure. A lot of these, it just sticks on the last rep. But I don't stand around for 3 seconds trying to do it. When it sticks at the bottom, when I get a rep that just hits the bottom and I can't move it, that's it. That's muscle failure. Muscle failure. We're done. So again, some of these exercises we hit failure, some of them we got 1 rep away, 1 rep in reserve. But nothing was done here with more than a rep in reserve. And that was kind of the idea. So everything 1 rep in reserve up to reaching momentary failure. All right, so the dumbbell rows, man, I got on my Facebook, my one on this has got thousands and thousands of views, people arguing about my form. People with no back. All right, this is the correct way to perform a row. The people who swing it over to the hip, you are not getting the involvement that you want. So on a dumbbell row, the dumbbells allow us to get extremely good ranges of motion. It allows you to completely stretch on each side. So notice my scapula spreads, and if you do, people are like, oh, don't do that hip twist. That is literally what you want to do, okay? Notice the lat stretch, and then if you bring it up to your chest or your armpit, you know, whatever your range of motion allows for, you're going to get the best contraction of your total back. Because it's a row, guys, it should be working your lat and your traps and your rear delts and rhomboids. And guys who just swing it to their hip, they're losing a ton of back development. Okay, and this is a reason so many guys struggle with their lats. Like you see tons of guys who have zero back development, and they'll come tell me how to train, by the way, all the time. And I'm like, you guys don't even have a back. Like, how could you possibly think you're qualified to tell someone who does how to do any back exercise? Jesus. Wow. At least have some lats. Now, that being said, this is biomechanically going to give you the most total back development. This is a great finisher, and it works everything because look at the ranges of motion involved. We can get the lats, the rear delts, the whole trap, everything. It's a phenomenal finisher. The guys are scared of range of motion on the dumbbell row. Now, I've done the full range of motion like this with a 135-pound dumbbell last week. People didn't like that. So I draw, this is a 90. This is all, you know, about 11 or 12 reps per set, roughly. You start losing count at a certain point because, again, they start kind of getting right up on failure. So I'm just trying to get that pump and that burn and that stretch and that squeeze. And then we pretty much reach failure. So yeah, when I start getting above 10 reps, I pretty much need a 95, which is what I'm using instead of the 135, because I can do sixes with that. But I want to keep the reps higher. Like, let's just bodybuild everything. All right, I decided to do shrugs on my back day. Even though my grip has really started to limit these. Yes, I've strapped up and done these with 405. You know, I've done these with 405, but that's okay. We don't have to do that because my back is pretty fatigued from this, my traps. Really, all those exercises do work traps. 12 of them work them really well. I just want to finish them. So I don't feel like doing traps on my shoulder day. I want to really dedicate it to, I'll do neck work on it, but I really want to dedicate my shoulder day, which will be tomorrow, to my delts. And I really want to get all the angles of the delt. And I just don't feel like I need shrugs in there. For me, the shrugs, I'll just put them here in the back day. So again, good spot to put them. Of course, grip does become difficult, but that's okay. I've realized if I just do all this stuff and just hammer grip, toss the straps completely, because I was doing it for just 2 exercises, but they were more cheaty. We don't need them. Just use this to build my forearms and grip. It'll keep building them up. And I may not really need much in the way of forearm work. I may keep the standing barbell extensions in just because they're good exercise. You know, I may keep those in still. But if we just do all this, we're good. Just like I'm going to start doing hanging leg raises every workout. All right, curls today, I'm like, you know what? Let's just grab the easy bar and do a closed grip, right? It feels good. And if I'm doing stuff like the chins, like I'm doing all that barbell work, I don't know that I need to have a locked in force supine, right? Let's just work the bicep from different angles. Just get a full range of motion, get that pump, get that burn, do sets to failure. So these are definitely some failure sets in here, right? Like right there, I just stuck at the bottom. One of them I definitely tried to bring it up and it wouldn't move. But that one, it pretty much did. Like it just stuck at the bottom. But I'm looking pretty decent here, right? Physique's continuing to improve, right? I'm looking thicker, looking leaner. Keep moving forward, keep improving. Need to get that waistline tighter, which is going to cost, need to lose body fat. I need to get everything bigger, but you know, arms are going to be a high priority. And people could say, well, what about doing extra triceps? But I'm doing a lot of triceps. And I think for me, the triceps is going to be really about that quality. So on the chest and tricep day, I'm going to have to just focus more on the deep stretches with the pullovers, the extensions, forcing that range of motion for the long head, because it's really what I need there. And I think I may even drop the dumbbell incline and just try to get 3 barbell movements for my chest. I do feel like maybe at this point, my upper chest has done really well from all the incline work. I mean, I've hit 225 for 10 pause reps on a 45 degree. I want to push incline barbell, but because I'm overhead pressing, I don't know that I need to double down on extra incline. I feel like I need to try to set up a decline, even if it's a last movement and I just do it for really high reps. I feel like at this point, even bringing up my lower chest wouldn't be a bad thing. All right. So again, we build everything. Let's look at every angle. So the same thing here, dumbbell curls. So we did those easy bar curls. I like dumbbell curls. Now I'm going to have a separate bicep day, guys. So keep in mind, people are like, is this really enough? Is it really enough? What about preacher curls? What about incline? I'm going to do that on Saturday. Right, so a lot of weeks I'm thinking I'll just keep a bicep day and a weak point. I could eventually make it a tricep day and do more stuff here. But this is a lot of bicep work because all that pulling, 6 of it was underhand grip stuff. So just coming in 6 really good 10 plus rep sets of effective curls through full ranges of motion on top of that should be good. And again, I'm going to come in. I did 15 sets of isolation for bicep on Saturday. So this is just making sure my biceps really get doubled down. But these, what's the idea? We start at a hammer position. Again, that rotation of the wrist, that supination of the wrist is one of the bicep functions. Obviously, the bicep's main job is to flex the elbow. But if you notice, we take the elbow through 100% of its range of motion here. And then we do that little bit of upward movement towards the face. Why? That is one of the functions of the long head of the bicep, because of the way it attaches into the shoulder. So this exercise is technically working all functions, and we hit failure there. Right? You saw me reach failure, just stopped. And then I finish up with 1 set of hanging leg raises. I need to do more and more of these. I feel like just keep building the abs up as I get leaner. It'll help, I think, a little with the loose skin over time. So really happy with today's workout. So I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.